Zimmer. Who got the keys to my bimmer? Who am I? The girls, them sugar.
Welcome back. It's the Who Am I Pod. We are your hosts, King CJ, Cameron. King, how you feeling today, man?
Good, man. Just watching out for any potential Logan Pauls that's trying to steal my hat, because I ain't going out like Floyd.
Got your hat.
This hairline.
Got your hat.
This hairline is not meant for the world to see.
I know you see the picture Charlamagne posted with him in the crowd. Like at the
bro, he said he gonna tell his children that's a Selma.
That was too good, bro. That was too good. Bro, he did look crazy. He looked crazy.
Duh.
He make too much money to be looking like that, though.
Bro, he had the patchy hair. People hold him back with the black and white.
He make way too much money to look like that. Like, way too much.
Apparently, somebody put them paws on him, though. On Logan Paul, though. Or Jake Paul. I don't even know who is who.
No. Somebody got him with some. I mean, this is a... I did see a good thing that said that boxing itself is a clown show because it doesn't put the best fighters against each other. So it's just kind of
facts.
It's just kind of making, good fighters beating up on some weak ass fighters, and it's really the clown show. And so YouTube is being taken over by YouTube stars, and really that's the more entertaining thing at this point. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree that there's some fights that we have to wait way too long for. That doesn't happen in UFC.
Nah, it's like, hey, bro, you gonna fight this person or I'm taking your title? Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, it's right there. Yeah. Whereas like, it's no reason that Earl Spence and Jamal Crawford, is it Jamal Crawford, right? Mm-hmm. It's no reason that they shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah.
There's no reason we got to wait years for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That should have been happening. And when is Wilder fighting again? Like,
who knows? You know what I'm saying?
This type of stuff don't happen in UFC. So then
Usman already knocked 2 people out this year. You know what I'm saying? Like
this year, bro, we in May. we in May.
What we doing?
May. He fucking people up. Like, come on, bro. He already defending his belt. Like, yeah. Who am I, man? I mean, it is what it is. That's now Logan Paul is a lot bigger than Floyd, though.
Yeah, because I want to say, and again, I could be confusing him with Jake, but I believe they fight like 190.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Conor was bigger than him too, but not that much bigger than Logan.
Yeah,
was way bigger.
But it's Floyd, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's a different level when we talk about one of the greatest defensive fighters of all time. Like,
he kind of old.
That's still Floyd, man.
Kind of old.
Yeah.
He ain't fought in a while.
That's what make it interesting. That's what make it interesting.
I ain't paying for it, but I'll watch it.
Hey, bro, 1.5 million people bought the
last one,
the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. 1.5 million people.
Just to watch him get his ass.
So people can hate all they want and say like they doing bad for the sport and everything, but ain't no other boxing match doing that.
This is true. Well, shit. Let's get to.
Who am I?
Yeah, let's get to what's really good. We're gonna talk a little bit about some music that came out. King, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first on some singles.
Get started with some singles. I want to start with Jordan Lucas and Lil Baby with Ramen and OJ. Man, Jordan Lucas he one of the best. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna say that, man. He doesn't miss, in my opinion. And Lil Baby is arguably, and it's not even really an argument, he's the hottest artist out right now. But them coming together, that's a collaboration I didn't expect to see at all. And this song is amazing. Like, if you think about Jordan Lucas and you think about his catalog, you think about what he does best, it's his videos, his visuals. And for him to link up with Lil Baby and bring dope visuals, and them to link up and bring you a dope song, is just like, we might have to start having a different conversation about Jordan Lucas. We might have to have a conversation about putting him up there with the top tier artists of his generation, because again, he continually gets better and he never disappoints. And to see him go bar for bar with one of the hottest artists out right now, Lil Baby, and just to see them come together on the same track. Like, I always kind of put Jordan Lucas kind of like in the other category, where it's like he's one of the best, but he's not really in with the in crowd or the elites of the best artists. He's rapping with Lil Baby. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lil Baby, because Lil Baby giving out verses like it's nothing. Like he Lil Wayne back in the day, like Lil Baby on everything. So shout out to him for, not being afraid and not backing down. But I think this is just a perfect matchup, a great song, and something I didn't expect, but something I was pleasantly surprised by. So that's Jordan Lucas and Lil Baby, Ramen and OJ.
Yeah, both of them know that, like, the thing, because we already been having this conversation. I think Game put out a list of his like top 10 best rappers living, and Baby was coming in at 10, and it honestly looked a little bit low. You know what I mean? Like it honestly felt like it was kind of low. But that's a crazy thing to say about an artist like Lil Baby, right? Like coming from where we thought he was, what kind of artist we thought he was going to be, with the songs that he started out with Drake and Lil Baby and Gunna and things like that. It didn't really feel like we was going to be talking about him lyrically like this. And he just evolved, like right in front of our eyes. I don't know when it happened. I don't know what song happened. I don't know when. But he's at the point now where he's rapping with the best lyricists bar for bar on any track that he's on. And he's putting out good quality music at a rate that we've only seen from people like Lil Wayne, Drake, Cole a couple years back was on tracks like this. So we've only seen people rap this high of a level from the greats. You know what I mean? At this frequency, we've only seen that from the greats. So shout out to Lil Baby, because it feels like every week we keep having to come here and say shit like this, but he's dropping amazing verses every week, and we're going to talk about him a little bit later on DJ Khaled joint too. So this is a combination I didn't know I wanted, I didn't know I needed, but I'm glad I got. You know what I mean? So shout out to Jordan Lucas, shout out to Lil Baby. Those are two of some of the best that we got going right now. So I'm expecting a lot of big things from both of them going forward.
Facts.
My next one is another big drop, Interlude, J. Cole. Man, it's kind of hard to, when you already a great, it's kind of hard to hype up even more than you already are. But from what I'm hearing about this project and from what I'm hearing from this interlude in itself, I got some really high expectations for this album. Like, I'm hearing this some of his best work, and these are people from his camp, not just, some of his fans. This is people in his camp telling me that it's supposed to be his best work, that he's been mastering it for years, that he's been working on this. So I'm expecting one of J. Cole's best albums. And that's a hard hill to climb to say that it's going to be his best album. But from what I'm hearing, from the way he's rapping on this one, it's definitely doable. It's not impossible. It's been a little bit since we heard from him, so you got that little working for him. The issue that he's going to run into is that he's going to be compared to whenever Drake drops. So whether that's a good or bad thing, it could work out a good thing. It could be that it was a complete smash and J. Cole just way better, and that his projects were way better and it worked out for him. It could be that this is dropping earlier in the year. Drake probably going to drop it looking like now at this point, he probably just going to drop towards the end of the summer or maybe even sometime later than that. So it could be that people forget about this album and they hear the Drake album and everybody explodes on that. I don't know. It's a weird time for a J. Cole album right now because we know it's just getting into May. In June, the summertime, kind of the turn up point. So it's kind of weird time for J. Cole. We usually hear him in the winter. So not really something that I was expecting right now, but still it's never a bad time to listen to a J. Cole album. So I'm really looking forward to it. The interlude makes me look forward to it. It's a really good song if you haven't heard it yet. But I'm fucking with it, and I'm expecting some great things from this album.
Yeah, like you said, Cole is one of the greats. And his spot, if he was to never release an album, his spot is solidified. Yep. If there was jerseys going up in the rafters, if there was a hip hop Hall of Fame, Cole is in there. But I'm intrigued. Definitely because I felt like we can all agree 2014 Forest Hills Drive, I think that was his classic. Like that was his top to bottom, his best album. And I think that For Your Eyes Only kind of threw him off a little bit, or threw I think the masses off. Probably not his core fan base, but it kind of threw everybody else off. It was like, that wasn't really it. And there were some mixed reviews of his KOD album, which I absolutely love. I think when we did our review that year, we put it as our number one album that year. But I feel like with his recent Dreamville sessions where he was collaborating a lot, I think that kind of opened the door for his sound to elevate. because I think J. Cole, he got into a box for kind of like with the next artist I'm going to bring up. They just wanted to do everything. I write my own raps. I rap my own raps. I produce my own songs. And then that's my like thing. But when we heard him on like Middle Child, when we heard him on those Dreamville sessions, when we heard him on the collaboration album, he was like, oh, J. Cole can do this. And then when we heard him go on that year of just features, whereas like, yo, J. Cole, he can fit on every beat. He can smash out. We heard him doing songs with Moneybagg Yo. We heard him doing songs with any other person that you could think of that year. So I really think, just judging by this sound, he's going to address a lot of the criticisms of, oh, J. Cole is boring, or even like we typically listen to J. Cole like fall or wintertime just because that's his vibe. Whereas though, hey, J. Cole can probably give us a summer album. J. Cole can give us something that we can listen to and, you know, hold some value and possibly give us another classic. And from this one, it's only an interlude, but I'm definitely excited and I got high expectations for his next project, which that should be dropping next week.
Mm-hmm. It's coming soon. What you got next?
So speaking of people that's producing themselves, I just got to shout out Russ, man. And if kind of like what I do with Fabio Foreign, if I get on here and I just speak on everything that he dropped, I'll be on here shouting out Russ every week. But I did want to just shout out his last single called Small Talk. And not just this song, but just his work ethic. I think Russ is somebody that a lot of up and coming artists can model their success after. They can model their business plan after. And like I was saying with J. Cole, he kind of builds it from the mud. Like when it comes to engineering, when it comes to producing, when it comes to making his own songs, when it comes to rapping, when it comes to singing, like Russ is a very versatile artist that doesn't really rely on anybody else, doesn't really need the industry. He's not like have a big backing and he's like being pushed out there, but he does have songs with Lil Baby. He does have multi-platinum selling albums. He does have multi-platinum selling singles. And just to see the consistency that he continues to put out and continues to put out good music, I think that it is very commendable, especially as an example of like, you can do it yourself. You can get it out the mud and you can do it yourself. So with this track, nothing crazy, but it is a solid track. And in a year when we really don't have a lot of good projects, especially hip hop projects, I'm appreciative of good music. So I'm really thankful that Jordan Lucas and Lil Baby gave us that song. I'm thankful that J. Cole gave us a song. And in the time when we don't really have a lot of good hip hop, I think this Russ song, Small Talk, is a good one as well. So if you want to check that out, go ahead, check that out. Russ, if you want to just check out all the singles he's been releasing this year, you won't be disappointed as well.
Shit, he released a whole album's worth in the singles alone.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
It's the consistency for me.
Yeah, you know. I'm dead. All right, so let's get into this Khaled. So this one took me twice to listen to. So my first one, I went in thinking like, man, this I'm sick of Khaled. Like I ain't liked the Khaled album in a while. And I realized that the first time I listened to it, I was like, okay, there's a few, right? There's always good features on here. There's the Lil Wayne, there's the Jay-Z who smashed. I even like the Justin Bieber joint. He got the 2 Drake joints on here. He had Justin Timberlake on the album. So there's a lot. There's a lot. Lil Baby's on here smashing out. So there's a lot going on. On second listen, I realized this is actually the most enjoyable DJ Khaled album I've listened to in quite some time, actually. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a Khaled album this much. I don't know if there is a time. There was the time where he had Future on every song. That wasn't really the recipe. There was a time where he was talking on every track. That wasn't really the recipe. There was a time he went complete pop, it felt like, and every song was kind of trying to be like a pop song. That wasn't really the recipe. So this one got kind of the right level of all of that. It got the kind of street rap that we kind of want. It got the poppy songs. Of course, it got a Cardi B. It got a Meg on there. It got the Post Malones. It got the Justin Biebers on there. It got a good little vibe of kind of everything that you would expect from a DJ Khaled album and all the connections that he has in the game. So a couple standouts for me, obviously the Jay-Z one. I actually really like Thankful. I like Every Chance I Get. I like the Lil Baby song. I like Let It Go with the Justin Bieber song. The Drake songs, obviously. So that's a lot. That's about half the album right there of songs that I really appreciate. And the songs that I didn't like to those degree weren't bad. They just weren't something that I would really listen to consistently. Didn't go into the playlist. Now, there was one criticism. The Cardi B song was terrible. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It just, that song was really bad. I don't know if it was the beat. I don't know if it was whoever wrote it. That song was really bad, and it was really early on too. It was the third song in the album, so it really kind of threw me off. Especially when it felt like everybody came with it. Meg Thee Stallion kind of felt a little off too in her verse. But Cardi was by far the worst song I've heard on this album, and it was not close. It was a really bad song, and I think it went to kind of be an anthem thing. The problem with that is if you take those big swings at these anthems or things of that nature and you miss, it's usually really, really bad. Like, it feels like you're trying really hard to make something that this song isn't, and that song just wasn't it. But outside of that blemish, it really is kind of a spotless album for DJ Khaled. I'm giving it about a 7 and maybe an 8, depending on how I feel, some days. But it's solid. I mean, it got some good songs on there. Only 54 minutes, 14 songs. DJ Khaled is really limited in his speech on here. You don't hear DJ Khaled a lot, which I can really appreciate. I don't want my producer dancing all in my music videos. So I'm not that type of person. So, yeah, this is a good album though, man. Khaled, man.
See, I agree, but I disagree. Mm-hmm. Like, I agree, like, there are some highs on here. Mm-hmm. Like you said, like the Lil Baby, Lil Durk song, mm-hmm. fire. I actually really enjoyed the Justin Bieber 21 Savage mm-hmm. song. Like, I really like that song. The Sorry Not Sorry, the Jay-Z and Nas, it's all right.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's all right, but it ain't nothing crazy.
They was taking it light.
Yeah, it was light. Like, I think there was like one bar in there. Like, I think Jay-Z said, you got bands, I got bands, and we dancing to different drums or something like that. I was like, all right, that's kind of clever, but that's kind of...
Yeah, people was really hyping up the B, and then I got another B, and then I'm like...
Yeah.
But here, I'm going to take this completely somewhere else real quick, while I let you get it back. This happens with Jay-Z a lot. Like, the Cake verse from the Drake album is not that hard, dog. Like, I don't know what, like... I don't know why people think that the cake, I got a carrot cake, and then I got a pound cake, and then I got cake. And I'm like, bro, that's not hard. That's not even hard like that. Like, everybody lost their mind. It's the same thing with this one. It's just like, yo, I got a B. Can't forget about the double B. Wait, that's a triple B. And then you got Beyonce, hey. On it, like, it's just like, it wasn't that hard. It was kind of trash, low key, but I ain't gonna call it trash because that's Jay-Z. So, but carry on. I just wanted to point that out. That made me think about.
That's what I'm saying. It was light. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I think Nas was talking heavy.
Oh yeah.
I think Nas was talking heavy. Like, it's dope to see him. Of course, like I said, the Drake songs, like they already proved themselves. I think that the I Can Have It All with Bryson Tiller, her, and Meek Mill, I'm biased. So hearing Meek rap on that I Can Feel It in the Air sample, I think that was just dope. From Philly, seeing him going through his things with Beans, like to see it come full circle, I think that was dope. But other than that, it's a lot of filler. And I think that's the expectation for a DJ Khaled album. But it's when you don't have a lot of good hip hop albums, the disappointment hit different. Like, I needed Moneybagg Yo project to be good, and it just wasn't what I expected it to be, or it wasn't what I needed it to be. I needed a big, like, you can say this might be the first like blockbuster like release of 2021 as far as hip hop, because we got a lot of people slated. Got J. Cole coming, supposedly Drake coming, supposedly Kendrick coming, all that good stuff. And like DJ Khaled is like, he's on that level, so I just needed this to be like, all right, I need this to hold me over for a couple weeks. And it's a little mid. Like, the songs I do like, I really like. Like I said, the Lil Baby, Lil Durk song, I really like that song. The 21 Savage, Justin Bieber song, I really like that song. The Meek Mill, her, Bryson Tiller song, I really like it. Other than that, bro, the Drake songs is a year old. Like, I'm good. I'm saying I'm not throwing them back in the playlist. They old. Like, I already had my, experiences with that. So I just feel like it's a lot of filler. And because of the big names, we kind of, like, all right, it's good, but it's really mid if it was coming from somebody else. Like, we don't want to disrespect Hove because he the GOAT, but hey, bro, that wasn't that wasn't it. So I agree. You know, it's DJ Khaled. So I think more of the presentation, the experience, the moment of DJ Khaled dropping the album is dope. The publicity, the videos, the collaborations that we would, you know, not normally see. I think that's dope. But when it comes to his album, it's very forgettable, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess time will tell. Time will tell how much of this I actually listen to in the future. But I guess when you come, this is the problem with expectations is they work in mysterious ways. You can have it where the expectation is so high that even if the project is good, it felt like it was a little underwhelming. And you can have the exact opposite where my expectations were so rock bottom for this that anything was impressive. And sincerely, anything like anything that was at least good from Khaled at this point was impressive. And so that's where I'm at. It works in mysterious ways.
I feel you.
You got 2 more albums?
Yeah, I got 2. So this something I've been waiting for a long time. So the artist formerly known as Drum, he now goes by Shelly. So if you want to search up this project, it's titled Shelly FKA Drum, or formerly known as Drum, and self-titled project. And I love it, man. Like, I was a huge fan of Drum's first project. Like, I think from top to bottom, that was a certified classic to me. Just to see his collaborations, him coming off the success of like Broccoli, and then, you know, the whole controversy of like Drake stealing Hotline Bling from him and everything like that. And I think all the controversy kind of overshadowed the greatness of that project. And I feel like that was a couple years ago. Like, I want to say it was in like 2017, like that. So yeah, it was a while ago, like, you know, kind of Kendrick-esque, hint, hint, wink, wink, with the album at, bro. But it's been so long since I heard something from him. It kind of started to put that pressure on us, like, yo, like, you delivered a certified classic, and now I want to hear what you got to offer next. But this project is equally as amazing, and it's condensed. It's only 10 songs, 38 minutes, but it's just amazing. And now he's collaborating, and you see people that's in his lane start to blow up. So like his song with Her, amazing. Him with the opening track collaborating with Summer Walker, amazing. And then him collaborating with Erykah Badu again, amazing. And I think that was one of my favorite songs on the last project. And just him talking through the different experiences, him talking through the different vibes of each song. It's kind of like listening to like a old school, or like listening to the radio, like back in the day, like The Quiet Storm, and the dude come on and kind of like narrate between songs and like get you into the vibe, and then the new song come on. And I think Drum is a very, very talented artist. I think that, or Shelly, I guess his new name that he's going by, but very, very talented. This project is phenomenal. R&B just hasn't been missing. Again, like I said, if you are just bored and you want to figure out what new music came out on a Friday, I'm telling you, there will always be a good R&B project. And I almost missed it because it wasn't titled Drum or Big Baby Drum, what he used to be known as. But just clicking on it and seeing like it making its run around social media, I was not disappointed. And this was a case of me having high expectations. Like I said, I've been waiting for this album for 4 years, and it did not disappoint. It actually exceeded a lot of my expectations. So shout out to Shelly, formerly known as Drum. It's an amazing project, and I think everybody should check this out.
Yeah, it I haven't heard all of it yet, so I just started it. But you know I was going to, because it's 10 songs and 38 minutes. I just want to shout out to him for that. That's my speed right there. So, but I'm hoping, I'm expecting some big things from this album, especially coming from you, especially from what I've seen on social media. It definitely took me by a little surprise when you sent it to me earlier, because I'm like, Shelly, who the hell is Shelly, and what does FKA mean, and what is Drum? And I'm like, what is this? Who is this person? And then I actually,
is this English?
I'm like, I know, dude. Like, yeah, I'm like, who is these people? Like, where do you find this stuff? And but I'm like, damn, I know this dude. And I actually, I share that sentiment with you. I actually really enjoyed his last album as well. And it did get kind of overshadowed about a couple other things that was going on during the time. So, he gives me a real Ty Dolla $ign vibe. He just doesn't really release his a frequency. He doesn't have the features that he does. But this is really like, from what I'm hearing so far, this sounds like what Ty Dolla $ign album should have been like last year. Like, this is what it should have sounded like. Mm-hmm. It didn't quite hit that mark. So I'm hoping that this one will, because so far it's exceeding expectations, which is a good expectation to work in mysterious ways.
Expectations. See the common theme here. All right. So my last album is T Grizzly, Built for Whatever. And surprisingly, like, I haven't been disappointed by a T Grizzly project. Like you said, expectations, they just, when you don't expect something, like anything good is like, I think elevated, or it's like, oh, but I'm not mad I listened to that, or I didn't waste my time. And I love T Grizzly for the same reasons I love Meek, the same reasons I like Ace Hood, the same reason I like certain like hype artists. Is just like, they can give you a certain feeling. Whereas like when a certain beat come on, like when they give you that First Day Out or that Dreams and Nightmares type style of beat, where it's like, man, this go hard. And I feel like this project starts off with that, but he also does move into more of like a Lil Durk, like a more introspective type of songs where he's talking about, like being traumatized by receiving late night calls. And a common theme on here is talking about his brother getting locked up, who goes by the name of Baby Grizzly, who they have quite a few songs on here. And he also does the outro where he's just talking about like he just got out of jail and he got caught with a gun, and now he back in jail, and just seeing how that affects him, and seeing or getting a late night call about his dad getting shot, or, turning his phone on Do Not Disturb, because normally when you get calls during that type of night or that time of night, then, bad news is going to happen. And just seeing him just collaborate with a bunch of different people, seeing him give you kind of both sides of the game. I think I talked about this with his last project too. Like, he's not only going to tell you about like what he's willing to do in the streets, but he's also going to tell you about the consequences, to the point where he's telling people, yo, don't be a hustler. Don't be this. Don't be, you know what I mean? Because you're going to eventually throw your life away. And he's going to tell you the consequences of him, quote unquote, throwing his life away, him making these decisions, and him dealing with the consequences of his whole family being involved with this lifestyle. And again, I love that type of music. It just reminds me of, the place I come from. It just keeps me humble, and it reminds me of who I am. But I also recognize that it's a reason why I left that lifestyle. It's a reason why I left that environment, because of those consequences. I wasn't trying to deal with it. So to see somebody that I respect in that lane, and, who carries himself in that manner, to give both sides of it, I think that's a sign of an OG to me. And, T Grizzly has been in the game for surprisingly quite a bit of years. So I think that his presence is needed, as far as like his voice, not just glamorizing one side of the coin, but also just giving that perspective and just giving that real music. So T Grizzly, it is Built for Whatever. It's a solid project.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna figure it out, man. I'm gonna see if I can go listen to that as well. I'm excited for it. So I think is that all the music we got? That's it, right?
Yeah, that's everything I got.
Okay, I do want to mention Moneybagg Yo. No, I'm just kidding. I heard it.
We cutting this part out.
We heard it. We heard it as a team. We heard it. we heard it. Wish we shouldn't have. We wish we wouldn't have. All right, yeah, man. Let's get into our topic of the day. I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce this. This is a good one. We basically following up on something that we already mentioned earlier in a couple podcasts back. So, King, if you would.
Yeah, so I don't know if that one came out, because that was the one where we had the mic issues.
Oh, dang, okay.
But
remix, I'm
yeah.
50 tight.
I'm 50 tight. So just the summary, like I can speak for myself. I can't speak for Kevo, but I think it's interesting covering podcasts and like the things going on within podcasts, because it's such a new space, and it just seems like it's another avenue to where, people from different areas of different level of experience can kind of make a way for themselves, be an entrepreneur, and kind of create their own lane, just being creative. And the Joe Budden Podcast has been one of those pioneers in this hip hop space, something that, we would be lying if we say we're not following in the footsteps or following in the groundwork that they paved in this lane. But most recently, Joe Budden and his co-hosts of the Joe Budden Podcast, Rory and Maul, they got into a little spat. And for a while, I think for a month, he was without his co-host, and he actually filled in with two of his friends. I think Ish and Ice actually filled in on the podcast. And initially, we only got Joe Budden's side of the story, just saying that they got into it for the past couple weeks before they went on to their hiatus. Rory kept saying, yo, we could fight. Like that was his main thing. Like he kept making it awkward. He kept pressuring like, yo, bro, like we can fight. I'm not with the disrespect. And apparently Joe Budden went to him or texted him like, hey, I think you should take a couple weeks off of the podcast. And that created a whole spiral effect from him and Rory getting into it to then Maul calling him out to say, who are you to tell somebody, or who are you to tell one of our co-hosts to take a couple weeks off without consulting all of us? That should be a group decision. That should be a team thing. And I guess they got into it and some words were exchanged. And it just seems as if it's a growing trend. You know, anything, if you look at Joe Budden's rap career, when you look at his affiliation with Slaughterhouse, it's kind of how it ended. When you looked at his previous business ventures, when you looked at his deal with Complex on Everyday Struggle, this is how it ended. When you looked at his recent dealings with Spotify, this is how it ended. And now you see it play over with his friends, you know, some of which he's known for years. This is kind of how it is. But more recently, Ma and Rory came back last week for an episode to kind of air out their grievances, and a lot happened. A lot was brought to the light to the point where Rory actually gave his side of the story, saying that it all happened on a text message, and that, you know, Joe Budden told him that you don't need to go, you don't need to come in. And then Maul came to him and was like, yo, who are you to say that? We need to do this as a collective. I want to look at some of the business, to the point where Joe Budden said, that's none of your business. Like, this podcast is none of your business. Like the paperwork, the percentages, the splits and all that, I'm not showing you any of that because that's none of your business. And that led to ever growing tension. And you can kind of see it in these past couple episodes. So, that's kind of the quick and dirty of the situation. But again, it is an interesting conversation to be had about the podcast space and kind of Joe Budden and where he stands in the middle of it.
Yeah, Joe Budden strikes again. That's kind of the real, you know, underlining thing of this. But the crazy thing about this is it feels like no matter how old I get, no matter, you know, what experience I go through, one thing remains the same, and communication is really key. And that's really the whole, like, when you air out all this stuff before it builds up inside of you and erupts into this, you know, we can have a disagreement, but still just talk about it. But when I've been feeling this way, if I feel some type of way about King and I've been feeling this way for years, and then one day he just say something that just don't sit right with me, all of that time that I've been holding that in for years, it's just going to explode. I'm going to get mad. It's going to become something bigger than it was. So that little situation became a big situation. That's just communication, though. And it just feels like they are not communicating to each other how they feel. Like Joe Budden clearly feels like this is my podcast and y'all are guests on my podcast. This is not a team effort. This is not a us thing. This is me. I'm allowing y'all to come here and do this with me. Maul and Roy obviously feel like we all own a piece of the pie here. Like, this is our stuff. Like, you can't do this without us. We can't do it without you. It's a team thing. So that's never been communicated clearly, apparently. Because when you hear about, you know, the things that King just said, and if you watch the episode, you can clearly see that there's some type of miscommunication going on, whether it be Joe Budden is just unlikable and it's hard to communicate with, whether it be Maul is kind of just unhappy right now, as he should be, whether it be Rory, he's kind of trying to fake the funk, trying to act like everything's cool. There's there's a weird dynamic going on right now. And that's really something odd to me, because you might see that on Call Her Daddy podcast, right? You might see like two women kind of get into a spat and bickering. This don't really feel like men should be doing this, because men usually just hash it out as they see fit, right? Like we're known to do that as a you know, as males. We tend to just, you know, let's just hash it out, and if we can't hash it out, well, all right, let's just box it out and we'll figure it out. Either way, it's going to be a simple ending to a problem. Like, we always look for a simple ending to an issue. This feels really complicated and weird. Like, I don't understand why they can't just have a conversation. Like, they came back on the podcast too early. It seemed like they did it to fulfill some type of need. Maybe it was from, you know, who they partner with. I'm not sure who it is right now. I think it's I can't think of
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. Maybe it's because they say, hey, like we need to figure something out, but they're on before they came back before they settled their differences, and it's clearly showing on the screen. So it's something weird. That's my initial thought. Is just like communication is really key. No matter what situation I feel like I run into, no matter who it is, whether it be sports, whether it be news, whether it be politics, it's really just communication is really key, even in your personal relationships. And right now, their communication is just way off. They haven't been talking to each other.
Yeah, and I said this on the unreleased episode, but I've been a fan of Joe Budden, his rap career, since Mood Music 3. So I've been following his career like with a close eye just because he was always a lyricist. And I love like bars. But when you follow somebody like Joe Budden, it's easy to see a pattern of behavior, whether that be in his relationships, whether that be with his friendships, whether that be with his business ventures. And again, I'm not here to judge, because you look at, if anybody watched me for the past 10 years, it's like, bro, I done did some wild stuff. You know what I mean? I done did some things that I'm not proud of. So I'm not here, being a judge or anything, but it is something to point out where the common denominator is Joe Budden. Whereas though he is a very narcissistic person, kind of like a Kanye, where it's like everything, like I am the greatest. I am the centerpiece of it all. This is all me, even to the point where the podcast used to be, we'll name this podcast later. And then it turned into the Joe Budden Podcast. It used to be a picture on all of the, like the podcast platforms. It used to be a picture of Joe Budden, Rory, and Mal. And now it's just a picture of Joe Budden. And when he replaced, or when he got his friends Ish and Ice to fill in for Rory and Mal, it seemed to be a defining moment for Mal, because Mal was saying like, this is something that we built together. So for you to bring in other people to sit in our seats, it just shows like you are committed to the business and you're not committed to the friendship. Because if this was something that you really cared about, you would put everything on pause and that would be the priority. Granted, like they haven't been there for a month, but he said these issues, like Kevo was saying, that don't take a month to resolve. That's a simple conversation. They could have been back in a week. But to say, all right, bet y'all expendable, I'm gonna bring in 2 other people, that just signals that I'm the star. People come here to see me. So if y'all want to act up, I'll get 2 other people to fill in. And this is still the Joe Budden Podcast. And that's the optics of it, because if you look at it on the Patreon side of things, he actually started another podcast with Ish and Ice, the people that were filling in with them, and he'll drop that as a Patreon exclusive, and he names that Joe will name this podcast later, kind of like a flip on the old podcast name. So it does seem as if Joe is very like, I want to be in control of it, and I don't want anybody else to challenge me on it, because I'm doing all of this. And granted, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for who Joe Budden is as a person, as a personality. You know what I mean? He is the rapper. He is the love and hip hop star. He was very early on social media with the Joe Budden TV. So I can't deny his influence. I can't deny his role in making that a success, but that shouldn't matter. When you build something together with somebody, you should never become bigger, or I don't think that is right for you to think that you're bigger than the team that it took to get you there. And I don't think that anybody who has that mentality is destined for anything other than self-destruction. Because when you start to think that everything is about you, then when you start to tear back at the layers and the pieces of you, you're doomed to fail. Because the people that stood behind Joe all these years are the people that he's thrown into the fire. And I feel like you kind of have to, like Kevin was saying, like in the event of like a Call It Daddy podcast, and the event of all these other groups that kind of break up, the biggest thing or the biggest common denominator is ego. And if you're not willing to put that aside for the success and for the benefit of the collective, then you're bound for self-destruction.
Just give me real. I was thinking when you were saying that. Joe Budden, give me real. You ever see the Temptations movie where he was just, nobody coming to see you, Otis? Nobody coming to see you, Otis? Like that's exactly what Joe Budden is trying to say here, bro. Ain't nobody coming to see you, ball. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Roy. They coming to see me, dog. Like, that's exactly what Joe Budden is trying to say. He's just trying to say the nice way he can. The problem is he's an asshole. He has an unlikable characteristic about him. No one that has worked with him in the past has came out without having some type of issue with Joe Budden. Think about it. Whether that be academics, whether that be Charlamagne, DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club, the Holberg Club, if you really think about it, the Slaughterhouse, anybody that he's worked with in the past, and you painted that picture very well, has came out with having a problem with Joe Budden. That's a Joe Budden problem. Like, that's like, it's not hard to call out. I'm not giving you something that you don't know already. This is not some type of deep psychology or anything like that. You can see it if you look at it. It's a Joe Budden problem. He's unlikable. We know these type of people in real life. We know there's somebody at your job right now like Joe Budden. It's just unlikable. You may not be able to put a finger on why they unlikable, but they just unlikable. They're unworkwitable. Like, that's the word that you had to. I just made that up, but they're unworkwitable. It's hard to. They make it extremely hard for them to work with, and Joe Budden is kind of the pinnacle of that right now. My problem with this is, like, if this doesn't work for Joe Budden, what does Joe Budden do at this point? Every bridge is burnt, and the two strongest bridges that you had, you're in the process of burning down as we speak. So where do you go from here? Because you're going to get to the point where even these big companies like a Spotify, like a Patreon, like a Complex, they're noticing you kind of toxic, bro. Like, having you in here might make us money temporarily. It might be good for us temporarily, but the longer we have you on, the greater risk we run. You're like a nuke, bro. Like, you gonna blow this shit up and then blame it on us, and then some people are gonna believe you. It's just gonna be a hard situation for us to have to deal with. It's a big PR thing that we don't really want to have in here. So why even work with you at this point? And then on top of that, you have no connections to bring on. You have no connections. Like, you see some podcasts right now are really striving on the guest podcast type thing, right? Like, just every episode is a guest. Like Joe Rogan's been doing it for years now. Right? The guest podcast, where every episode I'm just going to bring on a guest. You can't do that if you're Joe Budden, because I'm not coming on there to hear you talk about some bullshit. Like, I don't like you, so why would I even come on your podcast? So he can't go the guest route like the shorty from Call Her Daddy did. She went the guest route and just said, okay, well, my co-host's gone, I'm just going to have a guest every time, right? He can't really do that. If we didn't come here to see Maul and Rory, we definitely didn't come here to see the other two random dudes that you brought on. Your other podcast ain't doing too great with the female one. They ain't exploding like you probably thought they would or should. So I don't really know where the JPB, the whole network thing that you were doing is going either. I don't know what happened with that. I haven't heard a peep from that in a while. So again, it's going to be really hard for you to get these connections because everybody can see all your dirty laundry is all out in the industry for everybody to see. So before I work with you, all I got to do is a simple Google search on your name, and I can see what type of shit you've been into. And it's a long track record of some bullshit. So say what you want, man. I mean, I'm a Joe Budden fan. I like what he's doing, but I find somebody like Charlamagne, who's really in the same lane as him, doing way better and just way more likable as a person. Somebody I have to actually support more because it just feels a little bit more right. Like, it feels kind of wrong at this point to support Joe Budden without just noticing the type of bullshit he's getting into. Like, I can't turn a blind eye to all the nonsense that you've been into. And it's not at this point, it's hard for you to blame somebody else at this point because all the bullshit is following you around. You're the common denominator. So call it what you want, but man, Joe Budden gonna have to clean some shit up. And this is probably the last. This is it. If he can't clean this up with his own two boys, he's gonna be unworkable.
Yeah, and like we've been saying on this podcast for years, like, I'm a big proponent of, like, attack the argument, not the person. So this isn't a condemnation of Joe Budden. It's just the tactics that he's applying that I think we can learn from. When you make things about yourself, this is the ultimate end of it. To the point where I think him and Maul used to live together for years, like actually live in the same house. And it's gotten to a point where if you look at the last episode of the Joe Budden podcast, like, Maul isn't even talking. Like, he unfollowed him and was like, yeah, like, he just seemed disconnected. And it just showed, like, when he was airing out his grievances, he was like, when I was talking to you, it didn't feel like I was talking to my homie. Like it felt like I was talking to a business person. So he was like, it kind of threw me off because I had to check it. Like, are you even still my man's? Like, are you even still my homie right now? Because you telling me something that we built together is none of my business. Like as a homie, you wouldn't say no stuff like that. That's just disrespectful for you to like belittle me and everything like that. And that shows. And when you compare it to the tactics of somebody like Charlemagne, where it's like, he just empowers people. And like when you see the Black Effect Network, it isn't like, yo, I'm taking this and you're on my platform and I own you. It's like, hey, bro, if I can help you, I can help you. Y'all already doing y'all thing. I'm just trying to consolidate it and make it, you know, give you the platform and give you some extra shine if I can. You look at his relationships with Andrew Schultz, they've been doing a Brilliant Idiots podcast for years. They've had their spats, you know, on and off camera, but it's always a level of respect. You look at his connections with like Lil Duval, like they've been cool again for years since Charlemagne was working in Philadelphia. They've had their spats on and off camera, but it's always a level of respect there because it never was, oh, I'm big or I got the torch right now, so I'm bigger than you. Because one thing about it is everybody gets a little moment. You could be hot for a minute, but once that's over, then reality sets in. And all that stuff that you was doing in that moment, you'll have to deal with. So when you're not hot, you still gonna have to answer for those actions that you took when you were. And it's like, it may have been cool and it may have been acceptable then, but now you're gonna need me in the future. Now you're gonna have to come to me, or now you're gonna have to come back to reality. And if you, like Kevo said, if you burn that bridge, what you coming back to? Because it's okay to justify, hey, these corporations are taking advantage, or the record labels are taking advantage, or the industry is taking advantage. But if you are becoming, and this is what I'll be talking about when we get into like politics or whatever, you can start to see he's becoming everything that he's railing against. When he went to get the deal with Spotify and he was talking about not signing with Tidal because they wouldn't show him the numbers, he was like, yo, I'm not signing with you because you won't show me the numbers. But now your co-host, your mans that you've been growing up or that you've been living in the same house with for years, he's coming to you and asking you for the numbers. But you doing the same thing that you was condemning these companies for doing, but you doing that to your mans. So what sense does that make? But when you get caught up in the ego, when you get caught up in yourself, you don't see the hypocrisy in your actions. So that's why we really got to be mindful. And again, this isn't a condemnation of Joe. This is of the tactics, because this is the road that you go down when you start to think like that. So it's just, I think it's a lesson to be learned, and it's something that we can see and learn from to make sure that if this is a space that we're going to get into, if this is a space that we're going to try to take control of and become entrepreneurs in and start to make money, we need to look at the pitfalls that are happening right now for the people that came before us and make sure to avoid that, so we don't end up like the Joe Budden podcast, or if it doesn't come back, or we don't end up like the Call It Daddies out there. So
ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. That's all. Ain't nobody coming to see Otis, bro. Shout out to Otis, man. I came to see Otis, man.
Shout out to Otis, man. We appreciate you, man. The background vocals is love. Yeah, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah, man. That's probably everything that we got to say on that one, man. It's unfortunate, bro. It's unfortunate. But everybody, it's crazy too, because every like major group in pretty much any, like, whether we talking about podcasting, whether we talking about sports, whether we talking about music groups, they've all had their spats, right? They've all had something that just didn't work out, but they've been able to get it back, right? Like they've been able, Breakfast Club for a while there, for about a year or two ago, they thought the Breakfast Club was going to just disperse when Charlemagne contract was due. And it looked like Charlemagne was about to walk away from that shit. He probably would have been okay doing that, but he decided to stay home, and they worked it out. You know, we see it all. We see everywhere. We see Green Bay right now with the backers. Freaking Aaron Rodgers has been there for what, 15 something years, some plus years. Now it's the back. You know, we just it should just happen. Like, we got to see if you can work out or not. Right. But with Joe Budden, it just feels like it always doesn't work out. It always doesn't work out. So,
hey, that money had changed things, bro. Yeah. Like T Grizzly was saying in this song, he was like, my circle, he's like, I can bring $1 million and bring it around my brothers, and they might take some pictures with it, but I know they're not going to take anything. But if you bring $1,000 around your homies, they're going straight to Wakanda.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
I was like, that's how it be though.
Yeah.
Money really, you know what I'm saying? If your circle ain't tight, like money will really change everything like in your circle, bro.
Man.
I think it costs more than $1,000 to get to Wakanda, but
it probably costs a little bit more. A little bit more than $1,000. A tad bit more, man. A tad bit more than $1,000, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, man, let's get to these positivity shout-outs, man. Mine's just simple, bro. It's easy. It's an easy one. You could have guessed it. Bitch, you guessed it. But mine's just easy, bro. Shout out to the mothers, man. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that's listening to the pod, bro. It's crazy to me because I just had a conversation with my sisters about my mother and how much I loved her. And it's just crazy how we go through all the lessons that we feel like we learned. And all of us had different lessons, but they all led us to the same place, right? In the same places. My mother was great. She was a great provider. She was a great mother. And I wouldn't be here, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be who I am today without her. And I know everybody in here got a mom. Everybody, it feels like everybody is a mama's boy or mama's girl for some reason. Like the dads don't really give much love, but needless to say, that's for good reasons. But shout out to all the moms, any moms listening, anybody that you got, tell people you love them, man. Cause like we talked about last podcast, man, life is short, man. You never know when that air stops breathing in somebody. And when it does, did you let them know that, you know, you love them? That everything that they meant to you. So just make sure you tell your mom that you love them, man. Buy them something nice. Take them somewhere. Give them something to eat, man. They ain't going to be around forever. Just remember that at the end of the day, they ain't going to be around forever. So anytime Mother's Day does come up, make sure you show them love. So shout out to the moms, man.
Yeah, that's real, man. If you think about like the Black community specifically, you just think about like how much of a staple or how much like of a burden that women had to carry just in raising families by themselves most of the time. Like it's amazing, man.
It's tough work.
It's amazing. Shout out to the moms, man. It's hard to, I wish you would have went last because it's kind of hard to follow that. That's like the perfect positivity. Mine kind of goofy now.
Like they post below.
I wouldn't actually, yeah, low key. I was going.
You might as well just give your mom a shout out and call it a day, bro.
No, bro. We got a plan. We're going to stick to it.
Right.
I actually got two.
Okay.
First of all, we've been saying their name. We've been saying that name on there. I just want to say personal reasons. Thank you to the Call of Daddy podcast. Y'all out here doing the Lord's work. All right. Y'all out here doing
okay.
The Lord's work. You hear me?
You're not wrong. I question the method behind it, but you're not
y'all out here. Y'all here saving lives. All right. But a real positivity shout out go to Kodak Black and Pooh Shiesty. They've been like going back and forth over the like I wouldn't call it beef, but they've been going at it for the past couple months. And I ain't gonna hold you up. Kodak Black is a trendsetter out here. Like when it comes to like let me drive the boat, when it comes to like the whole like Bodak Yellow flow and a lot of people still, when it comes to like broccoli and everything, like a lot of people still Kodak Black sauce and then dress it up as call it their own, and then they become successful off of it. So I will say there is a clear track record of people stealing from Kodak Black, and he was just basically saying, "Yo, I started the trend of like spreading out the money, the whole ad lib or whatever that Pooh Shiesty has been running around with." He was just basically saying like, "Yo, I started all that." And, you know, they was going back and forth across the internet, and Pooh Shiesty has a clear record of, yo, I'm really about it. Like that song Back in Blood is about a real incident where somebody got robbed. Like, and Kodak Black, he just got out. So like he's really connected. But just recently they met up in Florida and they connected and they squashed everything. And I just think it's a dope example that not everything is that deep. Not every beef has to get to the point where we lose somebody. You know, especially like Kevin was saying, we losing people left and right. When we losing people like Nip, when we losing people like King Von, when we losing people like DMX, and we lose all these people. And again, not all from the same circumstances, but life is too precious. Life is too short for lives to get lost over petty stuff as far as like, I started this slang or I started this trend. So to see them come together and to see them both come from backgrounds where we know like things could have went left real fast. I think that it was dope to see the maturity, dope to see them come together. And they actually, I think, just released a song called Ripstick that just came out. So just to see them going from beefing to, becoming, doing business together, I think that's an example that we need to set and we need to highlight in our community, because too many times things go left when they don't have to. So shout out to them for being adults and being an example of maturity.
That's love. I actually I've seen a lot over the past couple weeks about some positive showers that I want to get to, but obviously Mother's Day tops all that. So, but I've seen a lot of good stuff going on. So shout out to all the rappers, especially rappers right now. I think I seen Young Thug and I think it was Young Thug and maybe Gunna. They went and bailed out a bunch of people in Atlanta. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Gunna or not, but I've seen a couple in the last couple weeks that I've been looking into. So yeah, man, shout out to them. Shout out to Kodak. It's kind of weird hearing Kodak on the Positivity shout out because that motherfucker's stupid.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying, bro. That could have went stupid real fast.
It did. You got no mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. That's the pie, man.
Hey, man. Shout out to Call Her Daddy.
Oh my Lord. You gonna make a guest appearance on there?
Shit, I just want to thank him. Thank you for your service.
I'm about to check the comments. I'm about to
Oh, you gonna see me in there?
Yep, I know that's right. You gonna be in there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk your shit now.
I'm retired, bro. I'm retired for this. I can't. It's too much.
Oh man.
No, we appreciate everybody tuning in, man. You got any closing comments?
Nah, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in each and every week. If you haven't already, go follow us on social media. Check us out on YouTube and follow the Call Her Daddy podcast because they out there giving free game.
We appreciate y'all tuning in. Oh my God.
Oh man.